Really appreciate you all coming together. Just to give you a quick background on myself and why I put this together. So I'm a huge sports fan, obviously, and I've been working in social media for the last couple of years. Currently, I'm working at a company called Adaptly. We do social media advertising. We're a platform that makes it really easy to launch campaigns on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and do it at scale really easily. Before that, I was working for a social media agency called Movement Strategy. We worked a lot in the sports and entertainment space, worked with the New York Knicks and the Rangers, and the Brooklyn Nets, and did a lot of social media activations with sponsors in that space. So I've always been passionate about the intersection of sports and social media, and I actually got inspired from a meetup that I went to over the summer, which Amy was speaking at, and I figured, I know a lot of people work in the space, and I love talking about sports and how they interact with digital media, and I know everybody here also works in the space, and they love it as well. So I think this would be a good chance to get some really cool conversation around the topics. So with that said, I want to introduce first Tarek Ahmad. He's a social media business manager for IBM. He's also a social media adjunct professor at Columbia University. He completed his PhD with dissertation research focused on social media and the NBA. He also created Sports Shadow, which is a site that tracks Foursquare and Facebook check-ins at sports venues. And to my left is Ben Shields. He's the Director of Social Media and Marketing at ESPN. He oversees social media marketing strategy for the ESPN brand and works across the enterprise to develop and implement company-wide social strategy. He also manages the brand marketing group, which leads the new SportsCenter Da-Da-Da marketing campaign, the It's Not Crazy, It's Sports brand campaign, and the marketing for the ESPN Films 30 for 30 series, among other ESPN original content initiatives. He's also the co-author of The Elusive Fan, Reinventing Sports in a Crowded Marketplace, as well as numerous articles he's written on sports media and marketing. Ben also holds a PhD from the School of Communication at Northwestern University. So he's got a good amount of experience in the sports space.
I'm the dumbest person on this panel.
And last but not least, we have Amy K. Nelson. She is an award-winning journalist and senior correspondent for SB Nation. Prior to that, she spent 7 years at ESPN, where she appeared on all platforms and was a writer with an enterprise team. She also has written for Out Magazine, Slate, and Animal New York, and contributes to NBC Sports and Fox Business. So, really excited to have you guys here. Thank you so much for coming.
Wanted to ask a question to both of you. In terms of social TV and the second screen experience, where do you see it going? And it seems to be that Twitter is one of the leaders in the second screen space. Do you see any other platforms that are doing a great job like Twitter is doing? Or, is Twitter the king? And what do you see in the future of social TV moving forward? Amy?
And the majority of Americans aren't on Twitter. I mean, they aren't. And then the majority of users on Twitter aren't active users. I mean, in terms, if you look at their numbers. So but it's yet so integrated into basically every single form of entertainment and media that we have. So, if you talk about what's emerging next, it's like I kind of wonder even where Twitter is right now.
How do you think the second screen experience has changed the way that we watch sports as fans? Will teams be able to provide the in-stadium technology to keep up with their fans' thirst for connectivity? Because I know when I go to games, I see people that are spending more time on their phone rather than actually experiencing the game. So where do you see the fan experience going in the future with all these second screen experiences?
I mean, it's so true. Social media usage for sports mirrors how we consume sports, face to face. If we were all watching a game right now, we'd all be talking trash. We'd all be, trying to one-up one another on knowledge. I mean, it's just why social media and sports work so well together. So, in large part, I see these social media tools are just enabling our behaviors as sports fans that we already act out when the game's on. What we're seeing now with Twitter on TV is much more of an integrated fan experience where, fans will see hashtags, go to Twitter to have the conversation, extend the conversation, get extended content.
I mean, but how many people who aren't on Twitter see this hashtag and kind of have a sense? I think most Americans have a sense of what the hell Twitter is. They know of it. But how many people are actually saying, well, okay, now that I see that hashtag, I'm going to go sign up for a Twitter account and see what this whole thing's about? I don't think that many. So what I'm kind of curious about is how many people who aren't users, who aren't natives to that, are actually being driven that way.
What are some of the proper ways, and how can teams and leagues market or present social media content that's targeted towards women that will allow them to consume it?
If there are female sports fans, they tend to be sports fans, and they kind of. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be marketed to differently per se.
It's sometimes very difficult to target this audience in a way that you're not talking down to someone or anything. It's authentic. It's just it's a delicate balance. The other thing is that it becomes more of a casual fan discussion and less about gender. How do you convert more casual fans that don't know all that much about sports into becoming more avid fans? It just so happens that some of those casual fans may be women. So to me, that's the biggest question. It's less about women and more about casual fans, and that's where something like fantasy sports is so powerful. If you play with someone that knows anything about football or knows a lot, it sort of is a great way to teach people about sports, about football, or whatever the case may be. That's how you can move casuals to avid, independent of gender.
Good answer. Good point.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, teams, 15, 20 years ago, their marketing strategy for women was basically shrink it and pink it. So basically make it smaller, make it pink colors for women to buy it. But I know in the NFL, the NFL has stated that nearly 50% of their fan base are women. And women have said, I don't want pink jerseys, I want a regular, Adrian Peterson jersey and a women's cut. So they would either have to buy the men's jersey, which is huge, or buy the kids' jersey if it was small enough. So you definitely see, quite a bit of change going on there as well, which is good.
How can viewership grow in that area? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Because ESPN has the women's page, and I know that the women's sports like the WNBA has a lot of trouble getting viewership and exposure since there's just not as much media coverage about it. And even female sports fans, they're raised by, the male sports fan in the family who are, when they watch sports, it's men's sports. So, the women growing up in that sense are going to be watching the men's sports for the most part. So I'm curious to hear if you think there's going to be a change in that part of our culture where when we think of sports, we're thinking, NBA, NFL, we're not really looking at WNBA or, women's college basketball, for instance.
I think the change is already happening. You look at the USA women's national soccer team and how much attention it's getting. You look at the WNBA with some pretty legitimate stars that it has now. That's gaining some momentum. You look at women's softball, which is gaining some momentum as well. It may not be the wholesale change that you may be referencing in your question, but I think if you look at some of the numbers and look at some of the momentum for women's sports, things are really on the upswing, and that's encouraging for a lot of reasons. And also, not to mention the amount of participation, in kids' sports of girls in soccer, field hockey, lacrosse, you name it, basketball, some of the other traditional sports as well. Participation numbers are up too. So, I think the best days are yet to come for women's sports in this country.
So Ben and Amy, if you could look into the proverbial glass ball and could tell us what the future of sports and social media looks like in the next 2, 3, 5 years. Either something you're doing at ESPN or SB Nation. Obviously, you don't have to give away secrets, but either what you're doing with your respective companies or how you see sports and social media moving forward in the coming years.
Whatever we're headed toward in the next 2 to 5 to 10 years, whoever's got the best handle on mobile is going to win. It's mobile. So, and however it's best integrated. right? And seamless and all those things that we all look for, for reasons why people keep coming back, and the efficiency to use. That's who's going to not win the game, but I think that will be where the innovation is happening at its best.
All right, so I just want to thank Ben and Amy and Tarek, everybody else for coming as well. So really great insight, and thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. It's the first meetup, and going to be much more to come. So keep a lookout for the announcement for the future one. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys.